This is video 8 in the end area volume tool rock excavation exercise series of videos. We're starting on step number 57. It says to create a new 3D powered GEOPAK file and name it Terrain Rock 1. Okay, so I have these dialogues open. I'm going to go ahead and close them. They're not needed anymore. We use those to create the Rock 10 out of the boreholes that we got from materials. So let's go to the file, new, we'll say no wizard. In this dialog, we're going to have to go out and seek out that 3D file. We're making another, we're making a terrain rock surface file, so we want it to be a 3D file. So we'll come out and navigate to where our 3D seed file is located, which is under CAD Standards, Seed Files, Design English. And then scrolling down, we're looking for the iProject 3D Powered GEOPAK. I'll hit open. It's going to ask me for a read-only mode. Yes, that's what I want. And eventually, the dialog will pop up. There we are, new. We're going to name this as the manual calls out. We're going to call the job number J5U0441G underscore terrain underscore rock underscore 1. So terrain rock 1. We'll copy that information down to the file name location. And I'm just going to hit OK and open up that brand new 3D file. It's asking me to check in the cross-section file where we created the 10. We'll go ahead and check it in. And now we have a blank 3D file ready to go for a surface that we're going to create. And we're going to use that 10 file that we created in the last chapter to actually create this surface. So in step 58 it says open the terrain model task group and select the create from file tool. So we'll go over to our terrain model group. We'll do the first icon on the first row, create from file. And we're going to navigate down to that new Rock 10 that we created in the last chapter. Add that in and hit the OK button. In here you can see we have the rock surface, and there's a couple filters that we want to set up as described in step number 59. One of them is the source file units. We're going to go with US survey feet. And the feature definition looks like a mistake in the book. It says existing boundary, but we're going to change ours and make that terrain display and go down to existing rock surface. Okay. Yeah, I believe that's a mistake in the book. So in step number 59, the feature definition should read existing rock surface. And then I'll go ahead and hit the import button. You'll notice it's processed and placed the 10 file in there because there's no more check mark by this. And all we need to do is hit the fit view. And then I can see in the background there's my rock surface created from the borehole. So I'll go ahead and close this dialog. It says in a note in step number 59, the surface contains triangles that are connected from each area of the borehole locations that are not true triangle legs and need to be removed. The following steps will remove the bogus triangles and create new, more accurate rock surfaces to be used in earthwork calculations. And you can see it's going to create the surface. Now, we got borehole shots here in 4 different locations. 5 different locations, and you're going to see that here's the boreholes and then there's a gap, but the tool still wants to create triangles. What we need to do is delete some of these bogus triangles and have just surfaces out there. So in step 60 it says remove the civil rules from the surface. To do that, you can go to the task tools, go to general geometry, there's an icon with a ruler and an X on it, remove rules. We're going to go out and we're going to select that surface and then follow the heads up display, and it says reset to complete, so we'll right click and the rules have been removed. So that brings us to step number 61. It says we're going to use the Microstation drop element tool. We're going to select a surface and accept by data pointing in a blank area of the screen. This will drop the 3D surface to a Microstation mesh. Okay, the one thing I want to look at is my graphic groups. Make sure it's off. It should be on. We'll make sure it's off. And then we're going to go over to our drop tools, which is under the create complex chain tools, drop elements number 6. And here what I like to do is make sure they're all turned on. Go out and identify the surface one time, one single click, and then hover over the mesh part. And you can see that when I move my mouse back over it, it highlights the mesh. We want to do that. That's step number 62. We want to drop that as well, and that will drop it down to individual Microstation elements. So now if I hover over it, I'm getting pieces now. And I'll leave it like it is for right now. So that's step number 62. Step number 63 says change the attributes of the elements. I like to do that, so I'm going to hit F4, clear out my tool, and I'm going to select all the elements in my file, and I'm just going to change the color to white as it says in step number 63. To do that, you just click the color palette at the top and then hit 0 and click off into a blank area, and you can see everything's white. I'm doing this because later on when I create another surface, I want to have a different color so I know I've covered it. Step 64 says remove the bogus triangle legs that connect the cluster of shapes together using the following steps. We're going to turn off the graphic group, which we've already done that, and then we're going to use the Microstation delete tool to get rid of any bogus triangles, as well as any other triangles that shouldn't be there according to the soils report. So I'll go to my delete tool. Got some real obvious ones right here in the beginning. We can just get rid of these. But I can also zoom into each surface and look. Now I know this one's bogus because all we had was shots across from the center line, a left and a right. We didn't have any stretching out across stationings like that. So that first section's pretty much done. A couple deletions and we're good. Let's move to the next section. We'll get rid of some bogus ones in here. That looks bogus. Bogus and bogus as well. I'll come down and get rid of these other ones in between here. I'm starting to see it's taking shape. This one looks bogus to me because again it's going across 2 station ranges. We didn't have any of that. And then I'll zoom in and get rid of these. Or as Derek Gray would call them, extenuous triangles. And there's another one here. So I guess there is just 4 shapes in here. Nope, there's 5. 1, 2, that's 4. 4 shapes in here. And that's what it should look like when you get done. There shouldn't be any goofy triangles in there. We had some areas, looks like the bridge is here, and we got some other areas where they didn't get it. So it looks like we're pretty good to go. And that gets us past step number 64. So what it wants us to do now is step 65 is create another new 3D Power GEOPAK file. So we can do that. We're going to do a file, new, no wizard. Again, we're going to check our seed file. We're going to navigate out to CAD standards, seed files, design English. We're looking for that 3D file because we're going to create another rock surface. And we're going to use those to create it, the ones in the background. So we'll hit open. Yes, we want read-only mode. We're going to call this one, per step 65, the job number, J5U0441G underscore terrain underscore rock underscore 2. And we'll copy this down and paste it in the file name location. Hit OK. And that'll bring us to the check-in dialog, and we'll go ahead and check that rock 1 in. In this blank file, what we're going to do is we're going to reference in our terrain rock 1 file. So we'll go to our reference dialog. We'll select tools, the attach option, and we're going to go down to in our folder, make sure you're in your data folder, and we're going to go to that terrain rock 1, add it to the group, and then hit OK. We'll also say OK to the defaults that came up in the next dialog. Close out of our reference dialog and do a fit view. And here are the surfaces that we created, but they're referenced in. So that's step 66, and that brings us to step number 67. In 67, we're going to create individual surfaces of each cluster of shape using the Create from Elements tool. Okay, that tool is on the task toolbars, Terrain Model, and Create from Elements is this icon right here. Create from Elements. It's the 5th one over on the top row. So we'll select it. It brings up another dialog. We want to set the dialog up actually, what I think I'm going to do is hit the F4 key and select the first group of them, and then go back to that tool. And the feature type that we're going to use is set up in step number 67. We want a break line. The edge method we're going to use is max triangle length. Actually, we don't need to use anything. We could just do yeah, we'll do max triangle length and leave it at 120. We'll follow the instructions, 125. And then we're going to give it a feature definition of the what we're going to call this existing rock surface. So now we should be seeing the brown color rock. Okay, so once we have this all selected, it's a data point to add to 33 selected elements. I'm going to go ahead, and I know the instructions say name it rock surface. I'm going to leave it this because this way it'll give us a 1, 2, and a 3 and a 4 on it. So we'll just go ahead and accept this and accept everything on our heads up prompt. So the break line, max triangle length, the 125, it's going to process. You could see some coloring through there. Well, you could when I had it back here. You can see a little bit of brown. So it's created it. Now let's go ahead and create the next one. So I'm going to F4, select the next set of triangles, go back to our task tools, create from elements, and basically we're going to go ahead and just accept all the inputs. So data point to add to 39 elements, break line, max triangle length, 125, boom. F4, select the next group, same process. Go back to that create from elements. This time it wants to add 23 elements. We'll say accept that. Break line, max triangle length, 125. It's created that one as well. Hit the F4 key. Select the last group. Create from elements. And this time we have 62 selected elements. We'll accept that. Break line, max triangle length, and it is 125. We'll accept that. Okay, so I'm going to hit F4. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my reference. And you can see in the background that we have these newly created surfaces, rock surfaces. If you hover over them, it's going to give you the name. This one's rock surface existing. The next one, let's see what we got here. Let's go to properties. Yeah, let's give it a feature name. We'll call it rock surface. We'll call it 1. Yeah, and then we'll go to the next one, do the same thing. Go to properties. We'll call this one rock surface. It did give us our one on there. We want to go 2 on this. This one we will call 3. And then the last one we'll name that one rock surface 4. And that concludes video number 8.